alright when it comes to League of Legends. He's a very high mechanically skilled player and plays all of the strong champions, especially in the current meta. We'll see what he wants to bring out in this game.
Well, we're going to find out fairly soon as we are into the draft now for Legacy and Sin. As you can see, Gragas the first ban there for Legacy. Fizz going to be the ban there for Sin, so another targeted one. But Echo are going to get a ban here as well.
Yeah, targeted bans, but also just extremely strong bans. Getting them out, they're so exceptional in the current meta. All of the Smite top laners, you've got Gragas in the jungle for early pressure, even Hecarim while we're going. The top laners that just have this immense amount of pressure. Sure, it's targeted against Minky, but it's usually banned anyway.
Yeah, I mean, they're strong champions, you're right, but I actually like picking on a player like Minky. We've seen Rosie, and he is a good player despite being new to the role, but maybe needs to sort of step up and just honestly get more practice more than anything else to sort of grow that champion pool. Cassiopeia banned here as well. That's certainly a Rymeister targeted ban. Sting going to see what they want to take away. Maybe another Minky Well champion.
So the Echo and the Cassiopeia taken away from Rymeister, kind of removing a few options off the board of what he can do here. And something worth noting with one ban remaining is that Rek'Sai is one of the last picked here from the side of Sin Gaming and will be prioritized here from Carbon, no doubt.
Yeah, especially with that Gragas already banned away. So a lot of these priority champions might be falling through. The last ban is Victor, so targeted there in the mid lane against Choo Choos, but Alistar, Rek'Sai, plenty of good stuff open here.
So many good options available. It's a smorgasbord of
options.
Wow. This one in particular, something that went unnoticed in the draft, evidently, has been first pick.
And Minky Way, we talk about it. Don't give him the good champions. There's the first pick Rise on 5.2.
Don't give him the good champions. Minky can get carried away with kills and or deaths. And when it comes to Rise, scales exceptionally well. His damage is just through the roof. It is monstrous. Getting that on Minky, who has been one of the big carries from this Legacy lineup since the start of the split, is going to spell only good things here.
Yep, a good start to the draft certainly there for Legacy, but Sin, we talked about those other priority picks, the Rek'Sai Alistar in particular. That's open here. Trashboat, a big Alistar player if he wants to take that away, but Rise is just such a good start to a draft.
There couldn't be a better start to the draft at the moment. Rise is so strong. He's got that recent buff. Remember, we are on 5.10, and while we're talking about strong champions, so hello, Sin.
I mean, there's the trade, right? You're on the red side. You want to get two strong champions and only give one away. They did have to give the Rise up, but Alistar and Rek'Sai right where they planned it.
Yeah, Alistar normally a first pick, so not a surprise it comes in the first rotation. Of course, Gragas being banned, smartly getting that Rek'Sai, removing the only other really early aggressive option here in the standard junglers. It has open, of course, Sejuani, Nunu, whatever you would like to go. Still even Eve if you're getting adventurous, but taking away that early pressure jungler, you've got Alistar with it. It's pretty much your front line already.
Yeah, you're good as far as tank stats go. It's part of the reason Alistar is such a popular champion now, right?
Yeah. His ability to dive and be a support anyway just makes him one of those frontliners because of his ultimate. So it kind of opens up options as a top laner in particular, if you were Rosie here on the side of Sin, to pick whatever you'd like.
Well, pick whatever you like. Might be Legacy's thing. Carbon going to get the Nunu there to pair in with the Tallywhacker Kalista. Somehow Legacy have snuck away with some really strong carry champions.
They are some mega champions. In fact, all 5 that have been picked so far are monsters in this League of Legends current patch and meta. They are phenomenal. They've managed to get up the Kalista and the Nunu. Carbon loves his Nunu, but so does Juves. And I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they go against each other. The early pressure that a Rek'Sai can put out against constant invades and jungle pressure that a Nunu can put out.
I mean, that's the thing when we talk about Nunu, right? You want to talk about early gank pressure, get your Rek'Sais, get your Gragas in there. They're your go-to champions for that. Maybe Lee Sin if you're feeling very adventurous in the Cinderhawk meta. But Nunu, his job is kind of to stop all that from happening.
Yeah, in a way it is, and especially against the side of Sin here. They like the level 2 ganks. It's happened multiple times here onto Rymeister's lane, getting him a kill or some kind of advantage in his lane where he starts to snowball uncontrollably. And he's done it a lot of times on Azir.
Well, Azir picked away for Sin. Stealthic's going to get his Sivir. I somehow feel that we're 7 picks into a draft, and everyone has maybe one of their best champions already.
I think they're just the best champions in League of Legends
Fair.
at this stage, unless you're a fan of something else. Zac main, perhaps, like we saw in the last game. Sivir going up massive, but Sivir, Azir, locked in. Ridiculous.
Yes,
what
very
do you
ridiculous.
even say without that word?
I mean, we've seen Rymeister's Azir just to start things off. And it almost seems like a must ban, even though he hasn't played that many games on it. He's just so good at the champion.
He has seen a lot of success on it. In fact, I only think he's died in 1 game as Azir out of all of them so far, yeah. And that was against the Chiefs. So Hey, that's ridiculous. Rymeister is a very big Azir player. He's very competent and very scary to be up against. So we'll see what Choo Choo's wants to do, whether he is in fact the Ryze perhaps, which is a possibility, or if he wants to go his own other mid lane option.
We'll have to find out soon. They've actually not got too much longer to pick, so we'll have to see what they do want to go for. Flying Dew going to flush us a Bard. Bard Varus seems to be the picks here for Legacy, so it seems like Choo Choo's going to take what's been kind of getting more popular as far as counter picks in the mid lane go.
Poke with a hint of dive and a whole lot of never dying is the side of Legacy at the moment. They've got the Bard who can engage, disengage anywhere that he likes, the magical journeys, the skirmishes, does it all. Doesn't do a whole lot of one thing, but does it all well. You've got the Varus now who provides that siege and poke and just everything that you want if you're looking to take down objective-based plays. Works well with a Nunu in that regard. Even Kalista, if we're looking at Smite-style champions, you can't outsmite a Kalista. And then the Ryze, the sort of a wild card in what I'm looking at with their lineup at the moment, has a ridiculous amount of damage and sort of surprisingly amount of tankiness that comes out of him with the passive that constantly gives you that shield. So a lot of damage, a lot of scaling, but questionable in terms of team fight.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how Legacy are going to execute the early, and I think especially the mid game here as well. I also love that Rosie's just flashing a Tryndamere, maybe as an homage to his former top lane teammate Swiper, but it's the Cho'Gath that's going to be picked away, and that's top lane Cho'Gath actually.
It certainly is. That is a top lane Cho'Gath up against the Ryze, and if it's worth noting anything, it's that Ryze generally goes a tier, and Cho'Gath's early damage is pretty high.
Yep.
So that's a favorable matchup almost.
Yep.
For the Cho'Gath. If you can get through the early levels without being completely hindered in your performance, if Rosie can get past that stage where it's really difficult to go against someone who's just ranged to start with, then you'll actually do quite well.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of Cho'Gath in the mid lane recently in the OPL. Kensti, of course, being a big advocate of that champion. I think the matchup's interesting. Rosie has a lot of experience in competitive leagues, so he kind of knows all the matchups in all the lanes, it feels like, so it's something he's comfortable with. I think for me, the big thing, just looking at these two team comps, just on face value, might actually be jungle pressure.
I think it does come a lot down to the jungle pressure, and it's something that we sort of touched on a little bit earlier, is that Juve's jungle pressure generally is in mid lane, or it's in a lane. He doesn't put jungle pressure into Carbon's jungle as much as a gank, whereas you've got a Nunu now on the side of Carbon, and his jungle pressure is pretty much everywhere that the Rek'Sai is not, to take away as much of the jungle or gank somewhere that he can. And then he's also got the potential of just going 3-man bot lane or grouping in a random lane with the Blood Boil and sieging.
Yeah, and I think it's nice that Legacy have fairly strong lanes here, just because you don't want to get to the point where you're like, oh, what do I do because my jungler can't help me in this maybe bad matchup. But you can see the team comps there on your screen. Very innovative here from Legacy once again. And of course, we'd love to know on Twitter who you think won the draft, or honestly, who's just going to win the game. Get on Twitter and use the hashtags LGC win for Legacy or Sin win for Sin, which is probably the best hashtag.
Yeah, we've explained our lineups and what we think of them a bit to you, so we'll see what you guys think. We're interested to know, of course. And I mean, looking at the overall holistic view of both teams at the moment, it's completely different styles, I would say. Legacy have a very unique team comp, and it's different to what we've seen from them a lot of the times. They like that split push and they like the siege, but for the most part, their team fighting nowhere near the Sin lineup.
Yeah. And I think it's, again, sort of like the AP Cogmon comp that we saw from them. Really strong draft from Legacy, and I think they've come away again with a really cool-looking team comp with some very good lanes and some good matchups and strong champions. It just, for me, is a matter of execution for this team, because we've seen Legacy, when they play together, whether it's Siege, Poke, or just straight up team fighting enemy team, that's when they look best. So can they get themselves into that position, or is Rymeister and his Azir going to run over another team?
I think the first thing to look for in that regard is how the laners of Legacy actually go. We've seen the AP Kog'Maw in particular was just completely demolished by T-Gun's roams on Morgana. Getting kills at level 2 Kog'Maw kind of stuffs you up a little bit in terms of performance. So if they can get through their lanes ahead, or if they can get through their lanes controlling the lane, then it's a lot easier for a Nunu to be controlling in the jungle. And from all of this control that you now have everywhere across the board, you can quickly rotate, smartly rotate, and do it with knowledge that Sin won't get there in time. Yeah,
and you mentioned the Kalista for that Ren secure. We've got the Nunu there as well. It's a pretty common combo, but as far as objective control goes around those mages, like the Dragon, like the Baron when it comes up, that's all Legacy's there for jungle control.
Yeah, it's basically unrivaled, to say the least. So, I mean, their lineup is well-rounded at the moment, and Sin, their team fighting is definitely superior, but we'll see what they actually want to do to get to that stage, whether the lanes of Legacy can get further ahead, whether they can control or whether it's a bit of a struggle for them.
Well, we'll get to Sin in just a second here, as we do have some stuff to give away. We had a competition last week asking you guys to snap and tweet to us the 3rd and 4th Dragon from last week games, and we're very happy to announce we have some winners of some lovely Logitech mice there. So coming up there, Mouse from Twitter there, congratulations, you have won one of our first mice.
Yeah, well done, mate. Managed to get the first 2 Dragon pictures. So it's very, games 3 and 4 it was. So a very difficult thing to do with many people.
Yeah, you just had to get the 4th game one. I think was a bit tricky as well. As Niji, congratulations there as well. Make sure you collect your sweet mouse as well.
Actually, remember the camera went back and
yes,
forth between them.
Yes, that was very epic.
Very desperately to find it as the 3rd winner.
Yeah, last but not least, Dante there on Twitter. So congratulations to our 3 winners. Thank all of you that sent your entries there as well. And hopefully we'll have more stuff to give away later on in the split.
Yeah, and enjoy those mice. Make sure you tweet at us how amazing they are.
Yeah, in fact, maybe even give us how you're watching. Do you have your sweet mice maybe dangled in your feet in a bath? Who knows?
Let's not do underwater with a mouse.
That seems... Yes, do not put your mouse in the bath.
Atlas's dream, but a worst nightmare of anyone who doesn't want an
Definitely
underwater
not good.
shot.
Take it from Rusty here. Ex-competitive player, do not put your mouse in the bath.
I can confirm it's very hard to left click and right click with that.
Not good stuff. But Sin, you mentioned their team comp. I agree. Team fighting across the board here.
Yeah, Sin's team comp is stellar at getting the 5v5. If they can find some early pressure on the back of what Juice loves to do here, and that's find a lane. He's done a ridiculous amount of level 2 ganks in particular, not often seen, but he always makes it work. If they can find a single kill, a semblance of a lead, just something to go in their favor, then there is the potential that on the back of Rymeister, who has been playing phenomenally, on the back of the rest of this Sin lineup, that they can just hard carry this game through and not even give Legacy a chance to let their team comp shine. Yeah,
I mean, Stealthix, again, being on the Sivir, much more of a utility-focused carry, but I've seen a lot of Sivir there. I do like that dynamic, but even the top lane actually is not too bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad at all, really. I mean, it's quite safe. It's interesting. What I really wanted to...
Speed the Cho'Gath in.
Yeah. The Cho'Gath is one of the more interesting things to discuss in this lineup, and how is it actually going to work as well? A lot of displacement spells, I guess, to make life easier and harder for them, but it's all down to execution.
It is indeed, and that's going to be a massive thing here, especially in the early game, as we do get out onto Summoner's Rift for our next game here. Legacy taking on Sin, and Sin, they've certainly been rising in the last few weeks, and Legacy desperate for a win. A 4th loss is not what they want here at all.
No, looking to reset that clock of their wins and losses. The score doesn't matter. It's how they perform in this game. Momentum, a big factor for Legacy at the moment, as they have made down.
Ooh, Flying Jew, nice double binding. Gets Trash Boat and Juves there and plops down a ward. Carbon as well. Very festive there in his new skin. Going to put down his own trinket wards, but Sin stacked as 4 actually, with Stealthix just off to the side, making sure they get a good look into this jungle.
Yeah, smart reaction and instant rotation, as Stealthix is essentially just stopping them from getting behind the lineup of Sin here, and from the looks of it, they're going to start at that blue buff based off where the Sivir is standing alone.
Yeah, Stealthix.
Yeah, it's preventing someone to walk around and actually catch them from behind as they come back to their blue.
Yeah, they've got a mid lane ward there as well, so good early vision coming through for Sin. Minky and Carbon did put some very deep lane wards down as well to the top side, so we'll be able to see people who are in that area. And Tallywhacker near a ward, but doesn't quite walk over it just yet.
No, they're getting a bit of vision here, but Tallywhacker throwing out all of these ghouls is going to kind of give a bit of a vision control to Sin. As you can see, the 2 pings immediately come down. They've spotted you, and they know where you are.
Yep, Tallywhacker and Drew going to look to take away these Krugs to start the lane by the looks of things. Trashboat and Stealthix, though, have the opposite thing on the mind. It's funny. Everyone put down deep wards, but both the dual lanes sort of snuck into the jungle.
It's funny that the Kalista W essentially revealed to the Sin lineup where they were starting here on the side of Legacy. So looking for that lane swap, looking to punish a Ryze in a 1v2. A very dangerous prospect for any Ryze player to be in.
And I guess on the other side here, we haven't seen it in a while. The old Cho'Gath 1v2 as Rosie is going to level up his spikes and take away a camp. He's getting very low.
It's actually really good having the spikes for early jungling. Just because the AoE, you can take things down, and your passive, in particular, as Cho'Gath, is sick.
Yeah, really good for sustain, and also not that bad in a 1v2. Not going to go there now, of course. We'll continue into his jungle there instead. But as we break out here, it's 2 different 2v1 lanes, and that Minky Ryze might struggle with the top lane pressure to get the early farm that he needs.
Now, the thing about that is you kind of want Trashboat to be around at all times so that it is a 2v1. If there is any period of time where it's not a 2v1, then Minky is much more comfortable to run up and be able to farm at least 1v1 with Stealthix. So you're not able to get, because of this lane swap, a roaming Trashboat on the Alistar. You're instead forced into a 2v1, or you are forced into diving here with 4 members, as Sin doing their red buff may look for that.
Maybe. We'll have to see where Juves does end up there as Rosie and him are continuing to jungle through their top side of the map. Nunu, though, are going to team up with Bard and look for a little bit more pressure onto the objectives. Actually, at the Scuttle Crab mid Dragon right now. Has been spotted, though.
Juves getting spotted by the early ward placed down there by Choo-Choo's. Minky Whale smartly putting down the ward of his own. Now knows they're there and needs to back off.
Yeah,
or just
little late. Trashboat going in there, gets the knockup. Boomerang Blade is good. Oh my god, that's so much CC. 4 perfect knockups in a row. And Stealthix gets first blood.
4 knockups. This is a knockup.
I must have missed one. Alstar Pulverize, no. It was only 3. My bad.
3 knockups.
Dragon goes to Legacy.
The combo was perfect to get the point across. The combo from them, 3 successive knockups. No way Rise can react. He is going to teleport back into lane and know that they can't dive him this time. So all in all, he does still get some farm. I mean, he gave up his life for it, but he's still getting it. In the meanwhile, Legacy do pick up that Dragon.
Yeah, maybe just taking the free recall there. Well, Minky Whale as the first blood does go to the Sivir, but hasn't gone back to spend that money just yet. Also, thank you for reminding the viewers, Rusty, that I can in fact not do math.
A free recall, though, is the best way to describe it, isn't it? Just
it's kind of what happens.
Yeah, admitting defeat, just dying so that you can get back to lane vitality.
He held his flash there as well, so definitely knew. Didn't have a chance to use it with those 3 knockups being used. But Carbon going to move in, maybe look for the jungle here as Juves popping down to the bottom side to try and apply some pressure back onto Tally and Juve.
And you can see the instant reaction from Carbon is to be at his Gromp and take what you can, but most likely going to run into Juve. No, he's still laning.
I mean, it's 3v2 on the bottom side, so probably fairly safe to do this. I mean, you do want to jungle on the same side as your dual lane, so keeping that there as Trashboat goes in. Minky's found Stealthix, flash forward, goes through. Pulverize is good. Stealthix forced to flash away, though. And Minky, in a 1v1, taking out the Sivir.
This is exactly what I was talking about, is you cannot let Minky Whale sit in a 1v1. Sivir has a lot of early pressure and damage, but it's never ever comparable to that of Minky Whale on the Rise. The second that Alistar leaves the lane, Trashboat having to come in and save his AD carry's life, still having to use the heal and flash his Stealthix. You may want to learn your lesson this time, Trashboat. You cannot leave him unattended.
No, and Minky getting a good amount of CS as a result. You can see Flying Jew sticking here in this 2v1 and zoning Rosie away. But it's 20 CS to 10 right now between those 2 top laners. As we briefly have a check into the mid lane. Fiendish Codex completed there for Rhymeister, but a tier there for Choo-Choos to move into that Manamune. And it's pretty standard so far. Mid lane pretty much just been farming away.
Yeah, you're up against the Varus and the Zir here, so nothing really going to come from in terms of direct kill pressure. You can see a cleanse as well as now they did. You can see a cleanse from Rhymeister compared to the Ghost and Flash. So no kill summoners as well. It's entirely to get through. Farm base, get your first item perhaps before you look for a kill.
And Carbon actually being a bit sneaky in the top side, trying to take a little bit of farm away now as Minky...
He's taking so much.
Yeah, I mean, this is what you want to do as Nunu. Track the enemy jungler and just eat all their stuff.
And the best part is because they've lane swapped here, Sin have put the lane swap into effect. Carbon's free to do this constantly.
Yeah, going into the top side, Stealth is going to have to use a spell shield. Does go through, but there's the stun from Minky. Needs to activate the passive, though. He's not quite there yet. Carbon going to redive. Minky's now 2D. Goes in the Stealth. Does get the kill, but Trashboat takes him out.
Trashboat, you headbutted him into Stealthix. They find a trade and end up with an even trade, in fact, 1-for-1. Both important members, the top laner and the AD carry going down here. And really, this favors Legacy because Tallywhack is just freely farming.
I mean, that's twice now that Minky's got... Oh, Rosie bounding to the wall. Tally going in. Going to put the arrows through. Flying Jew's under the tower. Fate's Call used, though. Rosie's going to get rendered. No, they don't have it. Flying Jew heals. No, he is going to die. Choo-Choo's coming in looking for a snipe, but Rosie's already safe.
That was... interesting. That was a questionable decision there on the dive. Tallywhacker not actually following it up because of the flash from Rosie dodging the Q from Kalista. So they don't pick up the kill there. Bard is currently stuck under the turret as the Cho'Gath flashes away. And he finds a trade in his favor.
That's Rhymeister though as well. Will Choo-Choo's damage going to get traded in? They'll trade autos. Rhymeister forced to cleanse off that ultimate. Jude slays Minky though on the top side. And that's a 3v1 Minky. Finally a clean death.
He is so low right now. That red pot actually saving Rhymeister in all of this mess. They do pick up Minky and his teleport is available again. Well timed with his own death.
Yeah, another free recall once again. He got the free gap closer there as well with a trade underneath the turret. It's been a sale on Minky Whale in his lane at least as Legacy rotate in with the Nunu. Gonna try and do some damage to this turret.
He can basically run Ignite Teleport and everyone will do it all for him this game. The headbutt's giving him free mobility. Teleports and Death's basically giving him free recall.
Yeah, not enough for that turret though in the mid lane, but Sin will claim the one in the top side, so things will get a little bit more normalized here. Rymeister returning to the lane now as well. Forbidden Idol ready to go, moving in for, I think, Morello Nomicon, if memory serves.
That would be the Morello Nomicon. Those are the two components of it. You have done it. Well done. And once he gets that Morello's, of course, the trading that he can put down onto anyone does increase exponentially. You can see the Rod of Ages on the way for the Cho'Gath as well. That'll be a big buy for him, assuming it's a Rod of Ages, of course.
Yep.
I can't imagine it being a Righteous Cloak.
I don't think so. I mean, I was curious to see what Rosie was going to build, but I think it would make sense just to go for your fairly standard mid build or something very similar. Red buff, a blue buff, sorry, going to get donated over also there as Rymeister will pick that one up for himself. And Tallywacker gone back and got himself a longsword for that, presumably a Vampiric Scepter and a BF sword now as well.
Yeah, nice item buys here right now for Tallywacker. And you compare that to what they've got on Stealthix as they are swapping back to a 2v2. And it does raise some questions for how it's going to pan out. The damage output from this Kalista is non-comparable to the Sivir at the moment, who is just completely behind.
Yeah, actually Tara as well, going to go down. Minions will finish it off there as Tallywacker gets a poke in there from the Pierce. And Sivir returning, Pickaxe and Berserkers and double Dorans actually for Stealthix. So maybe feeling a bit of that pressure, you can look down and see actually a sizable CS lead there as well.
Yeah, the Rise actually forcing a lot of early items out just from the pressure that had been put down. And you can see Legacy, they kind of backed off after they got the tower, but they're still putting pressure on now.
Yeah, they want this Dragon. Trash Boat flashes, still gets stunned. Forced to break out with his ultimate. Carbon going to chase through Tally as well. He's going to get some arrows down, but doesn't pull the trigger. It'll be Scuttlecrab first and probably following in for the Dragon.
Being collapsed on from all of the Sin lineup here, smartly backing out, not getting too greedy for a kill on an altered Alistar, as he's very much unkillable. They do smartly back out. They're looking for the Dragon control though, of course, because they had that first one down at 4 minutes. The second one's available, but Sin are very prepared this time.
Yeah, they just need to start it safely. The secure they have very high on this particular team comp with the Nunu Kalista that we highlighted. Choo-Choo's as well, looks for poke, doesn't quite get it there onto Juves. And Legacy don't quite feel safe enough to go for this Dragon, although Drew's going to dive in onto Choo-Choo's. Knockup's coming through, Rymeister rides in. Ulti moves Choo-Choo's into it, and Trashboat, he's coming there with Stealthix, but Varus is running away. The Boomerang Blade clips him as Stealthix going to get the first kill. Carbon forced to run away, gets knocked up by the Burrow, and that's 2 kills for Sin.
This Sin lineup have so many knockups that it's actually ridiculous if you get caught out of position by the slightest amount. It's comboed, you find yourself going down now, a 2-for-0 trade and a turret going in favor of this Sin lineup. They're going to look towards the Dragon. It'll equalize that at around 11 minutes and 20 seconds roughly. And Sin have found their way into this game.
Yeah, got the tower as well. Set up a Sun Turret for a bit of extra vision. Does go down now, but it's bought them enough vision and time to make sure this Dragon goes down safely. They will pick it up here. Drew doesn't even have his smite. That's how confident they were. And all of a sudden, Sin actually leap out 2,500 gold ahead.
Yeah, Sin are in a commanding position almost based off their team comp, wanting to get those team fights. And of course, there are some big wins here for the side of Legacy. Even though Minky is 1-3, he still managed to find himself a kill firstly out of a very odd situation. And his farm is equal with Rosie here on the Cho'Gath. You have a look at the junglers and there's still CS leads pretty much everywhere except mid lane, in fact, and it's not a noticeable amount. So Legacy still have their way to utilize their team comp. If they can find some mid-game skirmishes or catch someone out of position, then they're still looking good. But this Sin lineup, most importantly, on the back of a good team fight, are now in a very strong position to try and accelerate that lead, buy those big items, and look for team fights.
And that's what we don't want to have happen, or at least Legacy don't want to have happen, is just Sin to get scaling even faster than they would otherwise. They do need to get Minky a little bit further ahead. Varus is still powering up there as well. Even Tally hasn't finished his first major item just this second, so still a bit of farm required here for Legacy. If they can keep the game at this spot, things will look just fine here at this particular stage. And Carbon actually going to sneak his way into the top side, maybe try and dive onto Rosie.
Carbon has been constantly sneaking his way everywhere since the start of this game, picking up all of the random jungle camps that he can, and this time it looks like he wants a Cho'Gath, but the only way he's going to get this is if they overcommit and want to dive. But you can see Bard in the wings looking not like he wants to do it.
Rosie does put a ward down. I think realizing now why Minky is going so aggressive. Did use his passive a bit early. Carbon's going to come in though. They'll look for the tower trade, but Sinner already on top of the outer turret bottom. In fact, it's dead.
Yeah, they get that very quickly. 4 members down there, and of course the Sivir and Azir, exceptional at pushing. You've got a blood-boiled Ryze and Nunu who aren't necessarily coined for their capacity to take down turrets as quickly as possible, but meanwhile, at the same time...
Oh, Flying Jew in trouble, maybe 4-man strong. Rhymaster ult is in back, good flash.
That's a hard
Will
wall.
get him to safety, but the tower may not be so lucky. Top tower falls, Taliwaka comes back to the bottom side, but it's just to see that tier 2 go down.
Fantastic flash there, though, from Jew. That wall is massive, so being able to get through that, super well done from him. They're trying to stop the turrets going down. They do get the top lane and mid lane turrets. All in all, dead even trade. The only difference is Kallista's going to look to freeze. The rest of Sin, they're actually going to force him to group.
And that's great here for Sin right now. We talked about their 5v5. That's what they want to be looking for. Legacy need to sort of work their way around the map a little bit more and try and eke what objectives out they can before they can get to a spot where they can reasonably challenge Sin here. Dragon, thankfully, not up right now, so not a point of contention for either team just yet. In fact, it'll be blue buff that Rymeister will now get donated over to by his jungler Jukes.
And of course, needing that blue buff here, having the Morellos as the first buy, very difficult to sustain through a lane without having that blue buff to keep the mana trades up. You're up against a mana immune, of course, here on the side of Choo-Choo's and this Varus, so he can just keep pelting out arrows till the end of time. Very comfortable in a 1v1, so smartly getting that.
I think as well, the nice thing about Varus is kind of a lot of like Jace. His mid-game is just incredible.
Yeah, it's massive. Once he gets the flat pen item and works towards that last Whisper as well, the power spikes that come out of the Varus, his siege, his poke, everything about the Varus just exponentially increases and becomes this unstoppable force. If they can make it work, if they can't continue to keep the Varus ahead much like Jace, it starts to fall off a bit, and you need those kills to keep you at least ahead of the curve by a tiny amount.
And what do you think Legacy might be looking to do here? Because right now, there's a lot of farming happening.
I'd probably say try not to die to the Sin lineup in this situation. They need to group up once they get control of the sideways, control the jungle, and make a pick on the back of Nunu's jungle control here against Rek'Sai. Or, because Sin are trying to force things, very, very effectively force things though, they need to turn it around in their favor. Counter engage or pick someone when they try to siege.
Oh, Rymeister going to push down the mid now, try and get a bit of damage done to the turret. We'll get some help here. Trashboat going to roam in there as well. In fact, the rest of the team's coming as well. Trashboat gets a tower shot, because why not? And Legacy is going to follow them. Minky, though, will pick up the empty lane CS as he's stuck in the top side. And again, right now, Legacy at least feels like they're playing quite reactively.
They are playing reactively, but they're also controlling the minion waves quite nicely, which is worth noting. You can see pings came down from Sin. They need to address this bottom lane blue dot stack, which is unbelievably massive. All of the minions there ready to go down. Sin putting that sun turret there to put pressure. I thought they were going to go all in for the top turret. Instead, rotating to the mid lane, a questionable decision.
Yeah, just sort of moving back and forth. Haven't quite got an objective in a while, but Dragon will be up in about a minute's time. So that is the next objective of Sin. Do want to look for it. Going to clear out the Scuttle Crab now as well, just to secure some additional vision. Might look to go back. I have a funny feeling Stealthix has got a big pot of gold to go and spend. You can see Legacy just sort of sweep out vision on their side of the map though, and keep getting stronger. Yep, about 800 gold there for Stealthix. Not massive, but a decent amount.
A pot of gold.
And Minky, that's true. And Minky just went back and spent a massive amount of gold as Flying Jew might have found in there. Teleport coming through for Minky. Does get the slow, but Grozy going to try and disengage and gets bound to a minion though. Now the stun's coming through for Minky, and there's nothing Rosie can do.
Not a single thing in the world will save him there. But meanwhile, the response.
Trash boat goes in, misses the pole. And Choo-Choo's gets a defensive ultimate. Are you kidding me? That did so much damage.
That was unbelievable, the amount of damage he just put out right there. Actually managing to pick up Trash Boat with his ultimate available. That's what he gets for missing the flash pole.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so is Legacy now. And second win here is they're going to push down the top tier 2 as well. That won them a whole lot there as Choo-Choo's just outplays them 1v3 under his own turret.
Manages to pick up a kill in what was a very dire situation for him. Meanwhile, the top lane turret, and more than just that.
Yep, more friends coming. Drew's now going to get ulted there by Carmen. Rymeister dashes away to safety, but Taliwaka pops the Ren button to take out the jungler. And the Dragon's back alive. It's Legacy's now to take.
Absolute Zero getting the full charge out right there because of Minky Whale hitting the bind while stuck inside it. Destroying what was there of Juice's health bar, and they managed to get a kill. They get the top turret. They end up getting 2 kills, in fact, because Trashboat went down. Now they're moving to the Dragon. This Legacy side suddenly reinvigorated.
Yeah, bouncing that gold right back out here as you've got about 600 gold ahead for the Sin lineup. So still with a lead, but a slim one now. So we are going to have a replay.
So this is what?
Stealthix though, we do not have a replay just quite yet. Minky in the bottom side going to clear out some minion waves as his passive ticks away. He's able to AoE them down quite quickly. Is scaling on that, does have his Rod of Ages, but it'll take a little bit of time to come online. But Choo-Choo's, who just had a comprehensive outplay in the mid lane, Distortion Boots, Manamune, and that Brutalizer done, presumably going to work towards that last Whisper you mentioned.
Yeah, he's upgraded the boots, no doubt working towards the last Whisper. Wants to start ramping up with that constant stream of armor penetration. He's not far away as we're going to see the replay this time of how much damage the Choo-Choo's actually puts down. It is unreal. The tower actually hitting at the same time, which is what made it seem like a ridiculous amount. Of course, that tower shot dealing extra with each attack chunked him in itself.
Jubes has to tunnel away as Flying Jew takes a medical journey aggressively in the top side of the map. Stealthix and Rymeister with a massive amount of wave clear, going to get them out of it, but Choo-Choo's just over the wall, firing a couple arrows. Sin trying to get control of this top side of the map by the looks of things, but Legacy doing their best to keep them out.
Yeah, Legacy doing what they can here to control their vision. Of course, it is quite easy with the Nunu. They do manage to keep up a fair amount of control. It's slightly defensive at the moment, and I mean, it's almost 20 minutes. I don't think the Baron will be the option here from Sin, but that's where they're playing around.
I mean, yeah, pushing down the top side of the map. Want to make sure they get it as Rymeister is able to get his blue buff there as well. So I guess with the Dragon down, it's maybe a bit more important. Honestly, they might even just be scared of the potential, because Legacy, they can do Baron rather swiftly.
Or if there's one thing Legacy can do, we mentioned this in the pregame, that's objectives.
Yep.
That is the Dragon, that's the Baron, that's any champion in the game. If they're left without actually being noticed, it will go down super quick.
Minky as well, trying to keep the lane back here. Climb up as much as he can. Juice maybe been caught out, forced to tunnel away again. Relatively safe there on the Rek'Sai, but doing a lot here to get some deep vision down. And again, Legacy just keep pushing him out of that jungle.
Essentially just trying to control vision in their own local area to stop Sin from having any vision advantage. They're not really pushing too far forward at the moment, but it's more so just to get control of their own area before they expand that into a neutral area or into the side of Sin. So trying to find their feet and get some control back in their favor. As you can see now, they've got some more control of the map. They're starting to push from neutral to advanced wards and get some control of just the entirety of it.
You have to be careful though. We talk about the Sin 5v5. They've got good CC. They can lock people down if they get caught out, but Legacy is just kind of slow pushing the mid and the top waves here. Minky Whale especially, just hanging out on the top side. And this is the thing I really love about what Legacy are doing. All of this time, just pushing out waves, applying pressure, just being there on the map. Even going to take out a Sun turret now. As
100 gold.
It will go down. Yeah, 300 gold there. It's buying Minky Whale time to charge out the Rod of Ages to get more farm and just scale up into that late game.
Yeah, we've got the Varus will start spiking very hard soon once he gets that last boost. We've got the Kalista who's working towards what looks like a Phantom Dancer. And once he gets that again, they spike in terms of damage, in terms of fighting capabilities. The Bard working towards a Catalyst, getting that Righteous Glory, gives them an extra engage tool. And it's something that Legacy is sorely lacking at the moment, is that hard engage button. They don't have the go button that you get from, say, the Rymeister using his ultimate, Sivir using his ultimate, Alistar knocking up. Legacy need that Righteous Glory before they look to fight, and even then, they want Choo-Choos to poke people down first. So waiting on item spikes, Minky is the perfect example of that. Once he gets 2 items, he becomes unstoppable.
Drew's actually going to dive in towards old Flying Jew, but Magical Journey will keep him safe back towards the Raptor camp. We look over at Sin. They've got items coming through now for themselves as well. Rod of Ages there for Rosie, stacked up most of the way. I think 7 stacks right now. Need to see a large rod there as well. So moving into some big ticket AP item. Tank stats there for Juice coming through, so looking good there as well. Rymeister also with a need to see large rods with a arm guard in there, probably looking for the zombies coming through. And even Stealthix looking fine here. 22 minutes in, he's got his Infinity Edge completed.
Yeah, Stealthix is still in a very comfortable position. Of course, we have been talking about what Legacy can do a lot, but this Sin lineup, they do have the makings of a very capable teamfight right now as Stealthix gets interrupted.
That was a lot of damage. Yeah, he's forced to use the ultimate. Realizes that if he ate an ulti, he was dead. And that's a good cooldown there, just expended there by Sin.
Yeah, very easy. The ward control, you can tell, the last 2 to 3 minutes is still in favor of Sin, and it's still very advanced warding. So they finally found a spot to place the ward here, Legacy, and they actually stop a recall and force an ult.
Yeah, good stuff there. Stealthix want to have that back for the next dragon fight, potentially. Cooldown pretty low at this stage, at level 12 there for the Sivir, so we'll have it back. Yeah, almost in time. It'll be about 10 seconds away from when the dragon comes back. Again, not good at maths, so feel free to correct me there if necessary, Rusty.
Nah, it's all good.
Choo-choo's pushing in. Going to continue working in towards that last bit, but Tally as well, pushing a couple of waves down to the bottom lane. And again, Legacy, just letting the waves push, pushing them out, and just taking their time, honestly. They've been very patient this game.
Patient, calm, biding their time appropriately, of course, because we've discussed how capable they are at fighting late gamers. Sinner looking to constantly group, make picks.
Oh, Carbon, no, does not hit the ulti from Rymeister. Cleanse actually expended as well. Gets nailed though as the tempered bait comes in after Choo-Choo's ulti. They don't quite have enough to get a pick, unfortunately, as they are pushing in, trying to get the Rise into position. Tallywhack is here, gonna look for the Ren. Double knock-up though, finds Juice. Means he's forced to flash away, and Minky going in, finds Rymeister, but Trashboat goes back in with the counter against Choo-Choo, so he's gotten the kill. Trashboat gets the double knocker, but he's now caught out in an uncomfortable spot. We'll go down to Tally. Carbon chasing in as the spell shield negates the snowball, and Juve's off to the side, needs to tunnel away, and Legacy 2 free kills.
A big, uncommonly seen mistake there from Rymeister, not hitting the ultimate, getting stunned straight away by Bart and having to force the cleanse. Sees Choo-Choo's hitting that ultimate, getting the chain straight on top of him, forces everything out of Rymeister. The flash, the Zonias, all out of the way, and then you can see Minky while the rest of Legacy just completely run over them.
Great score pop. Rosie needs to get away, gets knocked up, bound there as well. Celtics trying to get the damage in, but Rosie getting low. Minky almost gets feasted to death, but the ulti is good. Callista gets the kill there, out onto Cho'Gath as Rek'Sai takes out Rise. Tally though going to clean out the double as Stealthix falls as well. And they might have lost 2 people, but at least they stopped the Baron.
They did stop the Baron, and the rest of this Legacy side very low at the same time. So Juve's managing to pick up a kill, looking to stalk around and just stop some recalls, but not actually spotting him. Blue buff a little bit more enticing, but again, they stopped that Baron. They got the important part out of the way right there. On the back of a team fight that was won by Legacy, this objective control side where they can very easily take away the Dragon or the Baron does get stopped.
Yes, Sin might actually get a Dragon out as a result here as well. So Legacy running towards it. I think they know what's up, but Juve's going to get there in time. Scrying Orb will spot them off as Tallywhack are trying to get a bit closer. Too late though, as the Dragon will go over to Sin. So 2 apiece now for that objective.
Yeah, 2 dragons each, and that's going to be very good for the side of Sin, because as we just mentioned, and we have a few times, the objective control. So they get that second dragon. It's basically just holds any chance of a 5th dragon win condition until like 60 minutes if everything keeps at this pace. Both sides right now, very even, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, that gold, you look up and see about 2,000 or just under there is the lead for Legacy, so not much there at all. Stealthix on the top side trying to push these waves back as Ju goes in. Trashboat headbutts him out of the magical journey. Choo-Choo's ulti's good. Forced a break there by Trashboat. Juice gets out of it as well, but Trashboat now taking damage. No, Rymeister going to dive back in. Ultis them back away. Tallywhacker goes down as Rosie's ported in. He's caught Carbon there as well. The Feast will look to come down if he had it, but he does not. Good double binding there as Jude's going to dive his way back in, but Minky too threatening.
They did well to disengage given how that had turned around. Tallywhacker actually poising himself underneath an Alistar with the Pulverize available. Gets knocked straight into Rymeister, who uses the ultimate and just became a ragdoll and died straight away. So small mistake there, overcommitment from the side of Legacy, looking for a pick on the back of what was a good situation. Turns on its head.
Good poke there from Choo-Choo's. Might keep things reasonably safe around the Baron area. You can see the last wisp has been completed for Varus, so he's good to go as far as damage goes. Does get the transform now as well, so Muraman are now completed. A build order there for Tallywhacker, the same build we saw from King in the last game there on his Callista. Righteous Glory there for Flying Jew. 10-stack Rod Evaders and a bit more coming through now for Minky Whale. Legacy finally at the point where they feel comfortable with those items.
Yeah, they've got those big items. The only one they're really waiting for now is Minky Whale. He's got that fully stacked rod, but working towards getting that Archangel staff. Once it's a Seraph as well, Minky's power spikes infinitely. So waiting on basically just that at the moment. As you can see, the Locket, the Righteous Glory, that's their big engage tool. They actually have a go button now, which is a big factor. They didn't have that up until now. And of course, as you mentioned, the last Whisper, Varus is big.
And he's done. I think it feels like for me, much like Jace back in the day, you sort of got to this item and everything just you're kind of good. Everything else was a luxury.
Well, this is like the peak spike in comparison to the rest of the side here. Sin, Rymeister is going to keep getting bigger and bigger with every item that he buys, whereas comparatively at this point in time, Choo Choo's is always going to be bigger just from the raw damage that he can output. Of course, being able to get the Mercurial, some sustain, some extra raw damage, it's all going to help him scale super well, but this is his moment.
Well, Legacy going to try and line up a seat here in the bottom, so we'll see if Choo Choo's in particular can be an impact here with the items. Carbon actually finds the whole team. That's a Sivir ulti pop there. They really want the Nunu, but ulti's good though. Finds onto the two engaged targets. Trashboat has used his ulti, but is getting locked up. He's forced to flash out. Drew's now going to take a bit more poke as Legacy look for the re-engage, but they don't have vision. Drews dives his way back in onto Carbon. Screams out for Rosie. Drews, though, getting killed as the rest of his team just isn't coming in. Trashboat, no ulti left there as Rymeister's forced to go in and take out Drew, but Tallywhack is doing damage. Minky Whale's going big. He gets eaten there by the Cho'Gath, but it's 3 for 2. The Trader's Tally might make it worse there. He gets knocked up, but everyone else is okay.
3 for 2 trade at the back of that. Only Minky Whale and Flying Dew going down as Tally actually found himself in the opportunity to take out a very convincing fight on the back of an amazing Bard Stun by Flying Dew. Unfortunately gets knocked up by the Alistar, sacrificing himself for the team. And then the Emperor's Divide actually knocking him further away as they have to disengage after that. They find themselves with a very close fight, and this game is just close.
This game's really close. About 1,500 gold up for Legacy, but that's almost nothing here at the 29-minute mark. You look through the matchups, bottom lane practically even, mid lane practically even. All right, Minky does actually have a fairly sizable lead. That's a good thing to point out. He's almost 1,000 gold ahead, and Carbon's sort of got the other part of the gold lead. But that's basically it here. Legacy, as far as 5v5 goes, we sort of highlighted earlier, don't really want to pick a full-on team fight here with Sin.
No, they don't want to directly run at their face, of course. You can see that is Sin's job at the moment, utilizing that Sivir and having the Righteous Glory from the Alistar. Their sole purpose at this stage is to just run into the face of Legacy, catch them out of position with the lack of mobility from a Varus perhaps. But of course, 2 summoner spells, they've got the Bard to disengage, turn it around, absolute zero. Legacy are basically completely prepared to say, come at us, Sin. We'll take you on. And
they're looking at, might be looking to fight now, sorry, as Minky, he's got his Seraphs and the Spectre's Cal for a bit of defense. Bled through and King just got completed there for Tally, and Choo Choo's has a bit of extra AD as a good ulti disengages the rest of Sin. Maybe they need to keep running. They do. Minky actually continuing to push as Carbon also able to run away on the fairly tanky Nunu. Legacy just trying to kind of run Sin around this map.
That's funny, they use the exact things we were talking about. Sivir ultimate, Righteous Glory, and they go onto Choo Choo's on the Varus. He just used that Ghost and his ultimate, put the chains on them, got out.
Got out fairly safely there. Minky's still pushing there as well. Being the annoying split pusher player that...
He doesn't know he's on a ward.
He was a lot, no. That's not a good place to be, but we'll get out safely.
That would have been really close if they committed to him, but I guess not having the Righteous Glory of the Sivir ultimate hurts them in this case. They don't find themselves a Minky Whale, and he gets a lot of free push.
Scuttlecrab actually there as well for Legacy, so control of the Baron area. Now Flying Dew looks for Dooms. Doesn't quite get the slow there from the Cosmic Binding as Stealthix. Nice spell shield. We'll kind of clean up that queue. Dragon's back up in 5 seconds now as well. It'll break the tie and give the team their first third dragon of this game. There's a lot riding in this game. We already said it's close, but doesn't take too much to see why here. 2,000 gold still ahead for Legacy. Might be posturing for the Baron.
Yeah, both teams close friends and often scrim partners, no doubt. They know a lot about each other, and you can tell they're both taking it meticulously. They've picked their comps to go against each other, but the Baron is going.
This is pretty all in here for Legacy.
Wow.
They've got great Baron secure, but they have to disengage. Truth gets ulted there by Choo Choo's Binding. Only slows onto Trashboat. He gets a double pulse. Tally could be in trouble. Minky, though, taking Rosie out of the fight as Stealthix zones out Tallywhacker. Still nobody dead, by the way. Stealthix is forced to flush away. Q's going to come in, flashes for it, and Choo Choo's secures the kill into the AD carry.
They get 1 kill now, and they can maybe make something work with this. They're going for the Baron.
Oh my god, they're still back on the Baron. Drews steals it as he dives into the pit. Flying Dew Fate's called, though, as that's a kill onto Alistar. Rek'Sai's dead as well. Rymeister will fall. 4 for 2 in favor of Legacy, but what a steal by Sin.
They get 4 kills. They almost pick up Rosie as well, but Juice, the hero of this Sin lineup right now, steals the Baron away from Legacy. They find themselves with the advantage, 2k in their favor, but not having that Baron buff makes pushing right now a lot harder for this Legacy lineup. They need to find something to do. The third dragon will help them a lot, funnily enough, because the move speed, always going to be good against Sin who are running at you. They do get the mid turret in response, so the gold's starting to tip heavily in favor of this Legacy lineup. Just so unlucky that Baron got stolen.
Yeah, 3,000 gold up now. Pretty insane. I think Legacy were gutsy enough to go back onto the Baron after that team fight in the 5v4. Minky as well going to get himself a blue buff. Tally will clear out the bottom wave, and they're going from strength to strength. The gold lead, it's not massive, but it might just be enough for Legacy.
Yeah, this is not a big gold lead by any means, but it is a gold lead. It means now that the team fighting comp of Sin is a bit weaker compared to what the poke and raw outplay and 1v1 skill that the Legacy has in their champion pool can now do. Sin not as easy for them to actually run down and straight kill someone. I mentioned this earlier, I would like to touch on a little bit more now, is that the Legacy comp, the more that I see it actually played in action, is very good against this Sin lineup. If the engage misses by the tiniest bit here, if they don't get that Alistar headbutt pulp into a priority target, Legacy can actually turn it around completely.
And we've seen a lot of it, honestly, here. I mean, I would almost describe it as skirmish-based in some ways.
Well, in a way, it's skirmish-based. It's more of a... the reason they started that Baron, and it was a very aggressive Baron decision, is because eventually it'll get low enough that Sin have to run at them. So now that there's no Baron, no Dragon available, we might even be in a lull for a couple minutes where Legacy just can't find a situation to force Sin to engage on them. So they're playing a very dangerous game here, the Legacy lineup, with this team comp. But if they can play that dangerous game how it should be played, and that is by not getting engaged on. And of course, that's difficult against the Siva and the Righteous Glory.
Going in, Juves runs straight in there. Ulti lands good onto Cho'Gath. Carbon's going to get dove on by Trash Boat though, but Minky, he'll come back into the lineup. Bald ulti fights to Rymeister. Going to go down there to Minky Whales. They pick him off, and Juves going to be the next target. They're diving under a Sun Turret. Minky gets a double. Tally's going to die there to Siva. It's maybe a bit too much here. Rosie though is dead. Yeah. Rise gets a triple kill. Magical Journey not needed as the snipe comes through, and Legacy complete the ace.
Juju's taking away that kill, not getting the quadrant of Minky Whale, but this is exactly what we just touched on, is the fact that Sin have to be the ones to engage, or they will lose the team fight from the raw poke that can come out of the Legacy lineup. They tried to go in, the Skarner getting the engage with the Sivir ultimate, the Righteous Glory popped, but Tally actually flashing that Pulverize here from Trash Boat essentially won them that game. Won them the fight, sorry.
Yep.
They managed to come out with both carries perfectly alive. They're going to get themselves an inhibitor.
I mean, might be game at this point. They're at least going to get good damage done to the base here. Rek'Sai charges back in! Flying Ju, actually, Juves, you're a little too far forward, my friend. Choo-Choo's has his ultimate. They can't go in, though. It's a little too much. The rest of Sin are back here. Legacy will back away slowly. That was hyper-aggressive.
Jude just giving a soft wave as he casually went past it at super fast speed and said, catch me if you can. I guess the small distraction to stop them from recalling, always going to be nice, but the objectives that they can go for because of that, non-existent.
Let's take a little bit more stock here of that last little fight and just what Legacy's team comp does. I said skirmish, and you said, yeah, kind of maybe not. How about disengage?
Yeah, it's disengaged to a degree, of course, because Minky doesn't have disengage. Carbon has the absolute zero. But then you have a look, they've got the chains, they've got Tallywhacker's ultimate, and they've got the Bard. All of Bard, just everything about him does work for disengage. And then he can turn it around too. He's actually their engaged too, but he's a big factor in their disengage. You can see the Mikhail's being built by him, opting into that defensive item for someone else. Not for himself by any means. The goal is to keep Tallywhacker and Choo-Choo's alive, to kill the front line of Sin, while Minky Whale and Carbon destroy the back line.
And we saw what happened. They managed to basically CC the front line and then kill the back line from a very far away. Yeah. Poor Rymeister just got himself sniped.
Yeah, completely. There's nothing they can do if the engage from Sin isn't good, but we have seen good fights where Sin hit that engage that they're looking for. And they're kind of looking for it with the Cho'Gath again. Yeah, no, they're not.
No, a little too dangerous perhaps there as Sin trying to keep themselves in the game here. Legacy looking at maybe a fourth dragon. You said it would come in late into the game. It might just be getting to that stage as Minky going to prep the bottom side of the map there as well. Juves caught out in his own jungle, will actually tunnel away to safety. And the Legacy carries do substantial damage at this stage.
They do substantial damage, but this is the thing right now. You can see it's kind of a lull in gameplay at the moment. Sin tried their best to get a team fight, and against the lead has expanded more and more for the Legacy lineup. They'll try and hit this poke down, but if it doesn't connect, they can't force Sin to go onto them. And this is going to stagnate the game by a fair amount. They do want the Dragon, they want the Barons that they can force, or force Sin to try and prevent. The question is, thankfully they have that mid inhibitor down, but how are they going to get onto the rest of them without a team fight on Legacy terms, not with Sin running up?
I guess we'll find out soon as Legacy is going to hang out and poke for as long as absolutely necessary. The mid wave is slowly pushing. Rhymaster does eat a Q. I mean, it just doesn't matter. Choo-Choo says the blue buff. He can literally do this for days.
There's actually an arrow machine gun at the moment. It's unreal. Blue buff, CDR boots, and finally 2 arrows connect.
Yep.
All it takes. Now they give up the tower.
Yep, Legacy in fact going to tank it there with Tallywhacker. Happy to just sort of auto-attack it there as everyone else going to dive back through. Legacy going to get themselves the 7th power of the game. That gold lead starting to rack up a bit more. It's actually not a massive lead here, only maybe 6,000 gold up for Legacy. But you can just tell it's enough, but they've still got good control of the game.
Yeah, so they've got the gold lead with a disengaged skirmish comp up against the team fight comp, of course. So they're looking in a very comfortable position because Sin still have to run at them. With the gold discrepancy, it's very difficult for Sin to come out ahead or even get a kill without running at this Legacy lineup. They've got the Dragon now, they've got the Baron in 25 odd seconds. They are in complete control of the map at the moment. Look at the ward coverage.
Yeah, it's just been stellar here as Minky does actually lose his top tower there. The T2 goes down, yet the Winions helping out. Dragon will melt though to the damage of Legacy as Minky is going to shove out the top side. Baron is up in 10 seconds, so that's a consideration, but Legacy, they're just going to run straight to the Bard ulti. Nailed onto Rymeister. Fate's Call's popped as well. They really want him dead, but they can't quite get it. Trash Boat though, caught out of position, gets the pole onto Tallywhacker. Still alive, there was Choo-Choo. Chucks the ulti in, and Tally living for as long as he can with all that lifesteal. And that's 3 key kills dead. All of the carries gone. Rosie trying to run away, but it's already dead. I mean, it's just got lifesteal. Rymeister going to try and run away, but Legacy a clean fight, getting 4 kills.
They actually engaged onto Rymeister. He's the only person left who's still alive with both summoner spells available. No idea what happened just there for him, but the rest of the side, they turn the fight around. They try their best in. They want to go into the priority carries and catch Tallywhacker out of position. They can't find themselves an opening, and he manages to live, except for right now, because he just...
dives into the fountain because he knows his team has won the game. Legacy with another great draft, finally executing properly there, it feels like, and breaking what for them must have been a horrible loss streak.
Yeah, Legacy having some very good drafts lately, but finally being able to put it into effect. The lineup of Sin, their team comp was great, but they just could not get the engages they were looking for. The Bard doing so much work in that game, actually disengaging everything.
Yeah, Flying Jew had a great game, and I think I agree with your sentiment towards the end of that game. When there's all this poke and all this disengage, and you're forced to play into your opponent when they can be reactive like that. When you're ahead, it's just so difficult to come back.
Yeah, and of course, and you would almost want to say the game was won on drafting, but that's not at all true because Sin had the team to actually take down Legacy right there. They had the Sivir ultimate, they had the Righteous Glory, they had all of the engage in the world. The Rek'Sai, of course, being able to go straight in. Alistar, but they just could not find the targets. Tallywhacker flashing at the appropriate times. Choo-Choo's always just being in great positioning to never get caught. And the Legacy lineup just made easy work of that eventually.
Yeah, but executed really well. Yeah. Nice to see Legacy sort of playing back together with the team. And you know what? We're going to pop outside for a bit more in that win with Atlas and Spawn.
Welcome to Outside. Yeah, thank you very much, Pastry Time. It's absolutely... Don't you laugh at me, Spawn. This guy's always on my case. But yeah, definitely a fantastic game, as illustrated by Pastry Time and Rusty, that we just witnessed. Legacy, just playing fantastically. But things didn't exactly get off to the best start. So let's bring up a quick replay, Spawn, because Mickey Whale struggled a little bit underneath his tower.
Yeah, let's break down another level 1 that came through, this time from Legacy. So you can see... the lane swaps come through. Minky's gone to lane to try and leech at least experience. It's always good to get yourself leveled up as a top laner, but there are 4 people heading towards him. So as we roll this one out, you see that they've shoved the wave in with a cannon creep. That's really important because it's going to stay alive for a long time. Gets a good headbutt pulve into the wall. Takes another bounce up. Takes the 3rd bounce just for good measure. It does end in Legacy being able to pick themselves up a dragon. Rosie teleports to the bottom lane to grab some experience for himself, but that was just the strength of Sin's lineup. They had 4 knockups in there if you count the ultimate that will come through from Rymeister, and it was just really hard to deal with in the early game.
Yeah, it was very difficult for Minky Whale, although he did get a lot of experience as a trampolinist. This guy was up and down super well. So really, really played that one out nicely. But ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have a look at these team comps because, of course, despite the fact that, you know, the Sin lineup had a fantastic early, level 1. They picked up the kill. I mean, they may have lost Dragon. That doesn't matter. They still got a lot of gold. they still didn't manage to win the game. So why did Legacy manage to take this?
Yeah, so the Sin composition, as you can see, Merc Treads were useless against them because they've got the Cho'Gath, the Rek'Sai, as well as the Azir and Alistair that are just going to be so good at keeping you in the air, as we keep saying. The problem was this guy right here, who just does so much ridiculous poke damage, and you have to hard engage. You saw time and time again, they were popping Sivir ultimates, Righteous Glories, trying to get on top of the Legacy lineup, and they just couldn't do it because of the kite back and peel.
Yeah, and that's not to mention Tallywacker as well, who built that double lifesteal and was just able to survive so effectively.
Yeah, and with the last team fight actually showed perfectly what Legacy's team comp was capable of. You see, they start a team fight from extremely long range through Ju, who deserves a huge shout out for how well he played this game. And then from there, they just continue to fight persistently. They've got the ability to kite around with both Varus and the Kalista. It's very hard to run through Ju as well as Carbon there on the Nunu. Minky Whale's doing consistent DPS. So as we roll this one out, you see they start up the team fight with a really good ultimate through from Bard. From there, it looks like they're going to be turned around. Trash Boat's in the middle. Not a bad Emperor's Divide comes through. Everyone's falling incredibly low. Tallywacker looks caught out, but you see, he just kites back, able to hop around everywhere. In the end, Minky goes way too big. There's just too many threats on the Legacy lineup, and they're able to close this one out. Only Rhymemeister lived, and it was just because there was a window where Sin could win games. It just wasn't able to be capitalized on enough.
Yeah, and the fact that Minky Well got gigantic as well, he was sort of a byproduct because you have Bard there for the peel, you've got Carbon doing a fantastic job, his ultimate placement was very good, so everyone going for Tallywacker means that Minky Well, he just wanders around and throws empowered abilities at everyone.
Yeah, and the legitimate magic damage threat in the top lane meant that even though they went with double AD carries, one which is a poke champion, you have to itemize armor, Minky just had free reign of the map.
Yeah, he most certainly did. But ladies and gentlemen, we are going to throw it back to the caster desk, but on our way there, let's have a listen to Legacy as they took down a team fight with Sounds of the Game.
TPing, I'm TPing.
Alright, they're going on me, Nice. Azir.
I'm a 3,
Azir. Front line. Step. Field carries. Ali, no. Oh,
watch, don't stack.
Silver. I'm tanking. Okay, I'm not tanking anymore.
We can get up.
Go. We end?